This is Code Red.
Hey guys, you're listening to the Code Red podcast. I'm Shubh,
And this is Parthib.
and this is the Manchester United podcast where we review games, tactics, and player ratings. Throughout the series, we'll also be looking at any club, extensions, or contracts, or any injuries to the squad. Today, we're looking at Manchester United's 3-1 loss to Chelsea in the FA Cup semi-final.
This was obviously a vital game for both teams as they both wanted to get FA Cup glory, and especially for United, who haven't won silverware in quite a while. And just yesterday, it was upset at Wembley as City lost to Arsenal, which only made United's chances of FA Cup even greater, but obviously we didn't see that happening as they've lost. And it was an odd formation. They were playing a 5-2-1-2. They had De Gea in the back, Wan-Bissaka, and Williams as right and left wing backs, Lindelof, Bailly, and Maguire as center backs. They had Matic and Fred as midfielders, Bruno Fernandes as attacking midfielders, and James and Rashford at the start in the front. It was a unorthodox formation and a departure from the classic United game that we've been seeing so far, and it proved to be fatal for them. We saw in the 46th minute Mason Mount had a wonderful goal with his in the 45th minute in extra time we saw the wonderful goal by Giroud, and then in the 46th minute we saw an outstanding shot by Mason Mount from the outside of the box, and then we obviously had the Harry Maguire own goal, and then Bruno Fernandes' last-ditch penalty effort, which he did put away. So it was not United's game today.
No, definitely. I think there were a lot of variables in United's style of play. Obviously, the players. A lot of the starters were not playing. We saw Pogba, Martial, Luke Shaw was out to injury, and Greenwood also had kind of picked up an injury from the Southampton game. So there were a lot of new players with the likes of Fred, Daniel James, both who haven't started in quite a while. I think the last game was probably the Norwich game, which they started. It was a very big change. I mean, United haven't played back five since, I believe, like when they played against City last year when they lost 2-0. Overall, I mean, I think the tactics, they just got it wrong. Like, they got outplayed, as simple as that.
Yeah, it's true. We obviously saw at the start of the return from quarantine and the break. They were playing a very attacking-minded, offensive, counter-attacking football, really quick on the ball, just passing it around. But today, they didn't seem to have any fire in their hearts. They were just slow, they were lethargic, just kind of passing it around, not really looking for opportunities. And Chelsea took advantage of that. They were firing from the get-go, as we saw.
Yeah, I think partially to blame is the formation. I mean, playing five at the back is a kind of park the bus defensive mentality, and I think United were trying to kind of capitalize on the counterattack because, I mean, Ole did put Rashford and James, who are United's fastest players, up top, and I think it's just naive from Ole to try to beat Lampard's side the same way for the fourth time. I mean, after three times, you'll think Lampard will probably understand how they like to play, and I think with the new type of game that this United side has been developing with attacking football, creating chances, I thought United were going to put a more prominent, more experienced side, and I think that was the downfall of United, which Chelsea was later able to capitalize throughout the game.
And it's kind of similar to the Southampton match that we saw. They were 2-1 up, and they were defending. And there's a lot of controversy because why play to your weaknesses? United's defense, as we know, it's not the greatest. So why try to play with your weakness instead of your strength? And United's strength is that they have pacey young players who can endure for the 90 minutes play, but their defense is nothing to speak about. So it's kind of odd, seeing Ole trying to defend the match and see it out and maybe get a counterattack here and there. And it was kind of a reversal from Chelsea United's kind of main sort of tactics and ideology. We've seen in the past, Chelsea have been a more primarily defense, park the bus, especially under Mourinho. And then now they were attacking more than ever, which is kind of United's old style of play. So it's really odd and a questionable choice of tactics and formation by Ole. I'd say much to blame to the players, but also a lot is to be given to Ole.
Yeah, I think Ole's tactics, they weren't right for today. I mean, we've seen in the past couple games, I think, we kind of criticized individual errors, for example, whether, the Bruno hit the post against Palace, but also Maguire and De Gea's howlers or defensive individual errors that players have made. But I think overall, I think Ole's tactics were to blame today. I mean, the strongest aspect of their game has been their attack. I mean, they recently broke that record of scoring by 3 or more goals in 4 consecutive games. So obviously, their attack is something that they should try to play more into their hands or have the possession more in their attack. But we saw when United were 2-0 down, they were still passing it around to the center backs because
Yeah.
by that time Chelsea could play 11 players behind the ball and they could try to play that defensive type of style. And I think United failed to set the tempo, which is what they were critical. That was critical for their success. I mean, we saw how many times have we mentioned United getting
The
that
early
first
goal.
goal? Yeah, getting that first goal, or like sending players into the box. I mean, they had one good chance, which was that Bruno to Rashford long ball, which he missed. But I think United, they just got outplayed today. As simple as that.
Yeah, they didn't really stand a chance as I saw it today. As you said, wrong tactics, wrong formation. Then we saw like none of the normal starting 11 starting. Like if like they really shouldn't have taken any chances. And like I know you said like this is like their fourth time playing United, and like I haven't watched any of the previous United Chelsea matches this year where they've won, but you're right about that. Like you can't expect Lampard not to see, oh crap, they're gonna play the same thing and we're gonna get screwed. Like United is obvious. Lampard's always going to know what he has to do. He's a smart guy. You can't deny that, and he really showed that today. He was the smarter of the coaches, and it was just kind of disappointing to see it, and especially like mistakes from players, not only from the coach himself.
Yeah, I think not only the coaches but also like as you're saying the players. I mean, United looked very relaxed, a bit too relaxed, complacent. You could give credit that they've been playing a lot of games back to back, and Ole did mention that Chelsea did get 2 days, like 48 hours more rest than United did. But I mean, sure, maybe that makes up for the.
But it looked like United was just playing as if they had like a week-long break. They weren't playing too hard. It just seems like they were just taking it too easy. Like not that they were tired, but they just seemed too relaxed. Not even tired, just relaxed.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think it was kind of. Like it was really not. I don't understand what Ole was trying to do by benching Martial. I mean, Martial has been like in top tier form these past couple games. I think he has 7 goals in 8 games or something since Bruno arrived.
Like that,
I mean, he's been in great form, and his link up play with Rashford has been amazing. Obviously with Shaw, I think that kind of set the spark for why United had to make so many. Why Ole did make so many changes, because Brandon Williams hasn't developed that attacking type threat. But everyone just looked tired and dull. I mean, Wan-Bissaka, he seemed like almost not even present.
Oh yeah.
Maguire, Lindelof, they didn't do anything properly, and then the midfield just kept on losing the ball. I mean, Matic, what he was known for these past couple of games is he set at such a high standard for himself, being able to hold the ball, build it up, pass it through. But we saw after a couple touches, Chelsea would regain possession, pass it around.
Everyone like their first touch was sloppy. Their passes weren't precise at all. Like we saw so many times, like United were developing an attack and then they just mess up like a final pass that could get them like maybe a good shot off on goal. And like it's just like they weren't awake. They weren't in the mentality of the game. Like honestly, like, I know you said like they've played a lot of games, but like if they've played so many games, they should be like pretty much in the mindset like 24/7. Like we're in a game, we got to play to the game, and they weren't really doing it. It just seemed like they were just chilling at home playing FIFA instead of actual football.
Yeah, they didn't seem confident. I feel like or maybe they were arrogant in one sense. I guess they almost like they thought like it's our game to play. We can win. Right, we're in their heads. But Chelsea were kind of playing that revenge type of game. They were like willing to bite for the ball. We saw Chelsea like really attacking for the ball. We saw like the Alonso like kind of stray foot on Bruno and Rudiger.
That's true, but it could be kind of maybe dirty football, but at the same time like they were not willing to give the ball away, and that's something we didn't see from United today. And yeah, but it was kind of questionable, those fouls, those tackles, especially since they weren't called as fouls as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Ole. I think he really needs to get the squad more serious, and I think we've kind of talked about how United need a couple more signings to really, challenge for that. I think there are like at least 3 or 4 players away. I think they need someone like a Roy Keane-esque player, in that midfield because there's no one like demanding anyone to do anything. I mean, we saw against the Villa game, Villa were dominating, but they were still communicating, right? Like push ahead or try to keep on attacking. But I don't think we saw any of that today. I mean, United were just dull. I mean, they were just passing the ball around, as if they were running out the clock. But I mean, Chelsea by that time had won mentally and physically.
Yeah, I mean the game was won in the first 10 minutes. Like we saw, United weren't pressing at all. They were losing balls. Like every opportunity they got the ball, they would lose it within the next like maybe 20 to 30 seconds. And it took them they couldn't get into their box. It took them almost like 20 minutes to get like even like a single ball into Chelsea's box. Chelsea were most of the matches being played in the United's half, and like we saw, it was like 51% possession for United, but like most of that possession was just spent like just passing to their center backs and maybe just passing it in between their midfielders. They weren't actually trying to press or make chances.
Yeah, I think Lampard and Ole both have weak defensive lines, and they have strong attacking lines. And I think Lampard was smart enough to say, hey, okay, we have a good attacking line with they're relatively young. They can attack. They can press on that United defensive line, so that the ball stays mostly in United's half or in that midfield, right? So that Chelsea's defense doesn't really have to be brought into play. But I think Chelsea's defense, I think they still, they stood up to the occasion. I mean, I think Rudiger had a couple good challenges. He was able to keep Rashford off from, that 1v1 type play. And I think overall just Chelsea, they tactically outplayed United in every sense.
And they were in United's head the entire game.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily, yeah, definitely.
Now it was pretty controversial, like, and especially coming into the match, like United, the odds were stacked against them. Not only to mention they only had 2 days break instead of Chelsea's 4. Then slurry of injuries. We saw Bruno getting taken down like almost 3 times this entire match, especially the one where he got kicked in the groin. That seemed pretty like it was harsh for the. It seemed too lenient for Mike Dean not to give a Chelsea a foul on Chelsea. I think it was Marcos Alonso, and we obviously saw Eric Bailly getting stretchered off. Like he's in the hospital right now. He got really badly messed up, and same with Harry Maguire getting hit twice in the head, and then it was just not pretty at all. And then not only to mention that Martial, that kick from Rudiger to Martial, that seemed like a pretty awful kick. That should have been a penalty in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, he just kicked the back of his foot like near the heel area, and I mean, I thought that should have been a penalty, or at least like
at least a foul, yeah, or a yellow card,
foul, or like a free kick inside the box, that type of play. But I mean, yes, I mean, if United do get that penalty, it changes the tempo of the game. Maybe in that circumstance United win, but we can't say that United lost because of those poor fouls.
Mike Dean, like he made some questionable calls, like he should have been giving yellow cards early on, but you can't blame the ref on everything. It was United to blame, the entire squad, the entire coaching staff, the players. It was all their fault.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of questions. I mean, going around, obviously a lot of people are questioning whether De Gea should stay for next season, whether Maguire should retain his captain's armband. So I guess we could just go through a couple of those questions. Do you think, we'll start with the first one, do you think De Gea should keep his starting spot?
De Gea's done so much for the club. Like, apart from, like, Maguire, who hasn't proved himself, De Gea's proven himself countless times. But like it's been 2 years. Like it all started with that Ronaldo hat trick back in 2018, Spain versus Portugal in the World Cup. After that, it's been kind of downhill for David. But he's one of my favorite keepers like of this like last decade, and it'd be really sad to see him go. But like especially now when they're trying to rebuild the squad, they can't really have players lagging behind. And I know Ole kind of has like some like. He has like some sentimental value with some of these players because like De Gea has been in the club for so long. He's known Pogba since he was like 16. Like he knew Pogba from the youth academy. Like he likes Lingard, but like Ole really has to have like a strong mentality and just like have it in his head like, okay, I'm building up the squad. I have to recycle some of these players. Some of these players aren't going to be fit, and it sucks to see him because he's done so well. I really like David De Gea, but I really think maybe Dean Henderson should take up the mantle next year, maybe even the year after.
Yeah, I think De Gea has done so much for the club, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you look at the game that's being played today, it's very, very fast paced. I mean, how many times have we seen managers just sacked within,
Oh yeah,
weeks,
yeah.
months? I mean, we've seen Pochettino sacked. Ole was,
Ole was looking to get sacked.
yeah, and back in January when they dropped points against Liverpool and lost to Burnley, they lost so many times, and I think if Ole was unlucky to have that really good interim period, I don't think Ole would be manager of the club today. I mean, I think they would have brought in Pochettino probably like months ago, and I think that's the problem. And David De Gea, he has been given 2 years, and he's kind of I don't see him reverting back to his old self. So yeah, I think Dean Henderson should come in starting next season. Obviously, Dean Henderson, he had a good season with Sheffield. Playing with Sheffield is different than playing with United, but he looks hungry for the club. And worst comes to worst, if Dean Henderson has a bad season, I think we can maybe have Romero play that starting keeper role, because Romero has been consistent in the cup, and I think I think De Gea he won't leave. Like for when if he leaves, he won't be known for his howlers or his bad mistakes. He'll be known for serving the club and the amazing seasons he had like 3-4 years ago.
It's like Iker Casillas says, like as for his goalkeeper especially, everyone likes to remember the mistakes they made, but at the end of the day, it's the goalkeeper and the player and the person himself. And De Gea he's a great guy, great. I mean, we obviously don't know him in person, but like he seems like a great dude, and like he's a wonderful keeper. He's one of the best keepers was one of the best keepers in world football a couple of years ago, and he'll serve the club. I still see him. Maybe he'll stick around. Maybe he'll lose his place to Dean Henderson. But I think maybe if Dean Henderson coming in could be a good call for De Gea. Maybe he'll open up his eyes. Maybe show him some maybe get some competition in him. But yeah, it's just that first goal. He should have saved that one. The Mason Mount one, it was a bad parry. The Harry Maguire own goal, I couldn't see him saving. That was a pretty hard shot. But even then, we still saw he made some good saves. The Maguire deflection. He made a last second save. Then right before the Maguire own goal, he made a great save, but obviously ended up being a goal. But man, it's hard to say because before his defense was letting him down as well, but he was there to save them. United so many times, but now both the defense and De Gea is letting United down. So yeah, I think Dean Henderson should really come in.
Yeah, I think best case scenario for David De Gea is he stays one more season and then he leaves, because I don't see him staying longer than one season.
He's 29 now. Like he's got maybe another 4 years max, I'd say.
Yeah, and Dean Henderson, reports suggest that he's only willing to come to United if he will be promised first team football. So I think I don't see them both being at the same time with both vying for that first spot. But I think I think Dean Henderson should definitely be brought in next year as our first.
Yeah, I'd hate to see De Gea go, especially, but you have to do what you have to do in this game. It's competitive. It's not it's not for fun anymore, and
Yeah.
you've especially shown that.
Yeah.
Moving on to what your second question, Harry Maguire's captaincy. I strongly disagree with him being captain. It's his first year. Like no player should become a captain their first year at the club. He shows no qualities of captain. He's not commanding at all. You hardly see him trying to direct play or be hard on his players. He's not hard on himself as well. You hardly ever see himself kind of maybe at the end of the match he was but you don't see him reprimanding himself or trying to fix his mistakes or play harder. You don't see that happening. It just seems like the same lazy, complacent football. And honestly, it should be I'm being kind of hypocritical here, but if anything, Bruno has shown he's high. It seems like Bruno's been playing at the club for 5 years or something. The way he's been directing play, he's been hard on the players, hard on himself. He has the qualities of a captain, and Maguire has nothing to prove.
Yeah, I don't know what basis Ole made Maguire captain. I mean, I understand Ole's weakness at that time and still is his defensive line. So I think he kind of maybe assumed that Maguire can maybe command the line better with his captain armband. But I think Bruno should get the armband. I mean, yeah, sure. People claim he dives, and he doesn't. He has some like dirty, I guess, type of plays, trying to win penalties. But
I
we saw
think.
against the Villa. We saw against the Villa game like I think it was after the drinks break, right? The moment like the drinks break started, he immediately starts talking to Martial, saying, talking about how they need to, score goals or how to build up play. He kind of, we often see him reprimanding himself, as you said, when he makes a mistake. Like if he misses a shot, he's mad at himself. If someone else misses a shot, he's mad at them, right? That's the kind of mentality that this club needs. We need like that type of Roy Keane, I will say Jack Grealish, these type of players who are willing to fight for the club, hold each other to higher standards. And I think Maguire isn't doing that by any means. He doesn't look like he's commanding the defensive line. He just looks like the best player in it right now, and that's
That's
you know
like, yeah, it's not.
yeah,
It
it's
doesn't
like
look
it's
good.
not really saying much about his game currently. But I think Bruno should be given the captain's armband, rather than Maguire.
Now that brings us to that. Now what I'm kind of worried about. Like they spent 80 million on this guy. Should he stick around? Because that's like pretty much 80 million down the drain. I don't. I do you think he'll stick around?
I think I think he'll definitely stick around, but I think United need to bring in other players who can kind of influence him to play at a harder type of mentality. Like someone like Bruno, but as a center back maybe. Like a more commanding center back. I mean, how many times do we see Rio Ferdinand and Vidic? It wasn't Vidic always just going head first and Ferdinand just using his pace to get the ball. No, they were both hungry for the ball. They were fierce, and I think Maguire needs someone alongside him instead of Lindelof to really put the pressure on him to perform. And I think this whole team needs to perform at a level where there will be consequences if they don't play
Yeah,
well. The
yeah,
problem
yeah.
with that is United don't have the squad depth to do that. I mean, back in Sir Alex Ferguson's days, if Ruud van Nistelrooy didn't have a good game, he could bring in Solskjaer. If they had so much squad depth, right? That Sir Alex Ferguson could do that, right? They could. I mean, right now everyone is just kind of handed the first team spot. That's the thing. I think that's the problem. They need to fight for it.
That's a good point. Yeah, and like it was literally like we even saw Chelsea have so much more squad depth. Like they this wasn't even their top squad. They left Pulisic out. They left Tammy Abraham out, Hudson-Odoi out, and like the moment they came onto the moment like Tammy Abraham and Hudson-Odoi came onto the pitch, they're like a direct impact. We don't really see that with United players. Like Pogba was taking his while to get like his sweet time to get started. Like they really have no squad depth, and it like even Chelsea exposed that today. Chelsea exposed so many things about United today. But yeah, what do you think about what's his name, Lindelof? Like his like future at the club.
I think Lindelof can be a starting cup center back, but I think he's gonna need some competition to for that first team. And he has been good at times, right? He's made some really good defensive you know like he's been quite aware at times. We saw like against City and like I think it was Villa or Palace. I don't remember where he made some key like 1v1 blocks. But I think United they need squad depth, and that's not something that you can just accumulate over a year because that's going to take a lot of money. And
Yeah. Oh yeah.
in the financial problems that they have right now, because obviously no money from fans and stuff like that. That can't happen over one season. It's going to take several transfer windows. So I think United, I think they need to invest in cheaper alternatives.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do you think United should still go for Sancho, or they should hold off?
Well, at the moment, Dortmund's facing some financial difficulties because of COVID, and there's talks that maybe he won't sell for full price, maybe 50 to 75 ish instead of 100. But like, man, I'd say their first order of business is sorting out the defense, because no point in like and then having like a crystal clear attack, pun intended, if their defense is lacking and they're not able to like keep up with the offense and just giving away goals left, right, and center, I would. Oh man, I'd
If United had to make 2, 3 transfers, where do you think? If not players, but like which areas do you think they should go for?
I think their midfield can grow to be becoming better, mainly with the addition of Bruno and Pogba. That I think, oh, maybe like they have the next 2 day games to play, and then they have next season. I think they can really grow into something great. I'd say hold off on the defense, midfield, and I'd say bring in someone to replace Lindelof and Bailly, and maybe get Sancho or, oh, Dean Henderson's out on loan, right?
Yeah, to Sheffield.
Okay, yeah. So Dean Henderson they'd probably bring back, but yeah, I'd say get someone to replace Lindelof and Bailly, and maybe if it's still possible Sancho, because honestly it can't hurt right now to get him.
Yeah, I think Bruno obviously will be our starting cam, so I think we need a player kind of under him to kind of learn and grow, but also like maybe an experienced player who is comfortable playing second fiddle to Bruno, but will still lead the team. And I think we need a new center back. I think we should get one good center back instead of 2 decent ones, because I think Lindelof easily beats Bailly in terms of
Oh yeah,
like who places higher in the pecking order. But I think someone needs to compete against Lindelof for that first team spot, because United by no means should just be handing out these first team spots to Lindelof, and that's what I mean. We saw Fred and McTominay; they were kind of handed the first team spot, and then the moment Bruno came in, they kind of lost that. I mean, we've barely kind of seen McTominay and Fred, but before Bruno, they were playing week in week out. So I think United squad depth really needs to be looked at.
yeah. Player ratings.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Oh boy, so David De Gea.
Yeah, 2 maybe.
2.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna give him a 1, but he did make some of those good saves. But I think his confidence just isn't there, to be honest, and I think he really needs to improve if he wants to leave the club on a high note.
Now I'm thinking about it, like De Gea's like, yeah, you're saying his confidence. I think maybe like a transfer out could be good for him. Like maybe just develop at a smaller club where he'll be like kind of like the king. I mean, it sounds bad saying he'll be the king of the club there when he can at United. He can be one of the best players in United, but like his confidence is hurting. He hasn't had like a consistently good season. Maybe going somewhere else and just building up that form and that confidence again could end like his career on a high note instead of like what everyone will remember with these past couple years with United. So yeah, 2.
Yeah, fair enough.
Lindelof.
I think I didn't really understand what he did today. I mean,
His presence wasn't like clear. It wasn't.
yeah, yeah, he didn't really make any key defensive plays or whatnot. I think I'll give him and Maguire both 2s. I mean, they weren't present. They didn't really show any, like, they didn't really I mean, occasionally I think we saw Lindelof, attack, I guess, like, play kind of a sort of cam role, and then once the ball would go to another United player, he'd kind of go back to his line. But I think, I mean, what United were, they're just getting exposed again, and I think because of these two, or teams aren't afraid to attack. Before United were, this fierce defensive line, which if you came into your half, you were gonna get beat, you were gonna get tackled to the ground. I don't see that anymore, so I give them both 2s.
Yeah, Lindelof, as I said before, he just wasn't present in the defense, wasn't there in the back line supporting, and obviously we had Harry Maguire. Especially with he's the big man. He should be scoring headers. Last match against Crystal Palace, 3 headers, all of them missed, and this match 1 header sent straight to Willie Caballero, and then 1 header going wide. Like we said this before, 5 headers. He should be at least putting 1 away. And not to mention his obviously awful defensive play. Were you watching the last 3 minutes or so?
No, I just
So this man, he's being pressured and he's dribbling it around. Like he's literally dribbling in front of the back line instead of kicking it. And we said this before. Just get the ball out of your half. Like we said this, like players are so afraid to get it out and just like let the other team reset and just maybe let your team itself reset and get ready for the next attack. But they're so wary of keeping possession. Like we saw, like literally, like Maguire is being pressured by 2 or 3 players, and he's trying to like pass and find an opening. And when he does finally try to find Wan-Bissaka, he just passes it straight to I think a Mount. And then like, and especially in the second goal, Mount's goal, they weren't even pressuring him. They just literally let him run in and shoot. They weren't pressuring him at all. They were just watching him come in and just obviously De Gea should have gotten that, but like it was also a huge error by the defensive line as well, just watching him not pressuring at all. And Mount didn't have any support. They could have quickly shut him down with those 2 players, but they let him score.
Yeah, in my eyes, it was, I mean, quite similar, if not identical, to Steven Bergwijn goal.
Yeah.
In the Spurs game against United. I mean, they just watched them, Mason Mount just dribble into that half, and Mason Mount, he just shot it from out of the box because it's De Gea. I mean, the opposition have confidence to take chances from outside the box, and I think that really speaks about how how underrated, or say how overrated United think their defensive line is.
Yeah, the stats don't really tell the truth. You can't just believe in stats in the whole. But yeah, they've had a good defensive record, but the their defense is awful. You can't just like assume that stats are going to tell the entire story. But yeah, um, what's his name? Bai.
I mean, obviously, Bailly got injured twice,
Yeah,
I guess, so he couldn't really stamp his mark. But I don't. Yeah, so I think I think Bailly, he was able he was able to clear the ball occasionally in the first half when Chelsea were pressuring them pretty much. So I think that was good, but I think he didn't really have that much of impact. So I'll give him a 3.
yeah. It's not really fair to rate him because he came off and like he looked messed up, man. His head was bleeding. He had the oxygen mask. He had a neck brace on. Yeah, I hope he gets better, but I don't really see his future at the club, United anymore. So, yeah, 3. Wan-Bissaka, man, he was quiet. He wasn't going up at all. His 1v1s were weak. He was just letting people come down his line. He wasn't making space for himself. We didn't see a single cross coming in from him, I don't think.
Nope.
He was just underwhelming and like really just so weak and quiet. I'd give him a 2.
Yeah, same here. I mean, his the best aspect of his game is his 1v1, his tackling. And I mean, was it Alonso, I think, on the left side, who was able to just whip crosses in constantly?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then Aspilicueta on the right side as well, and Brandon Williams. I give both Brandon Williams and Wan-Bissaka too, I think. I mean, obviously, Brandon Williams just passed the ball straight to Mount in that second goal.
And that started the attack. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like an avalanche of mistakes, and I think United really need to, like, they have youth, and obviously they'll learn with the more games they play. But I think United need to bring in someone more experienced, who can have a future at the club, but also kind of teach these younger players the kind of mistakes.
But even experience, like anyone shouldn't be doing that. No one. You don't send a ball into your own like center of the park. You don't like. That's exactly what Brandon Williams did. He did have Maguire. I think it was either Maguire or Lindelof open to his like right in front of him, but he didn't even look up. He just tried to pass it in the center. You don't do that ever. No one.
I think he panicked. I think the United side just panicked today. They were arrogant, but they panicked at the same time.
Yeah. He was awful too as well. Moving on to the forward midfield, the only player who really stood out today was Bruno. Like he was trying his best, and you can see it hurt to see him because he was trying so hard, like trying to like dictate play, and just trying to pass the ball around, find spaces, but like no one was keeping up with him. And Chelsea defense and midfield were shutting both the midfield and the defense down. Like they were controlling the ball for the better part of the game.
Yeah, I think I don't see why Ole didn't play his 4-3-1 formation. I mean, I guess you could say it kind of seemed expected because they've been playing that formation so many times now. But I mean, you're counterattacking football. that United play is also quite expected. I think we could have had Martial up top, Rashford left, Bruno down the middle, and we could have had Daniel James on the right side. I mean, he didn't do much in my opinion.
Yeah.
He was dropped too, but I think United should have gone with something they were more well
Comfortable with.
versed with, yeah,
Yeah.
or like experienced with. So yeah, I think Matic and Fred, I'll give them a 4. I think. I mean, they lost the possession so many times, but I
Yeah.
guess there were instances where they won fouls, won free kicks. Tried to help move the ball forward, and I think that was their only glimpse of getting attacking football. Because Chelsea were able to play a good defensive line. Because only Rashford was the one attacking. Daniel James really couldn't get any
He couldn't get, yeah,
because they were
apart from
busy
maybe
trying
one.
to get the ball back from Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give Bruno 7 because like he was trying so hard. He obviously got that penalty as well. It put it away well, and he was the only player on United that looked like he was actually like felt like winning the match. No one else seemed like they wanted to win the match, and yeah, and Matic, Fred, I have to give them 4s. Like they weren't as bad as the defense, but they weren't on their top game either. And Matic just had like three games of like pretty awful. His past 3 games, he's had a pretty awful streak, and it's gonna be hard for him to get back to it. And these next 2 games are so important for them.
Yeah, I think obviously these next 2 games will dictate whether they can get Champions League football once again. But Leicester dropped points today, so we thought maybe this is a double win for United, with Leicester dropping points, and obviously maybe they could have beat Chelsea, but it's a bittersweet day, and I think I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but I think United's forwards. I mean, they try. I guess you could say they tried to make most of what they were given. I mean, if Ole was trying to play counterattacking football, play your best player who literally can change the pace, or play from defensive to opposition, and that's Paul Pogba. I mean, he didn't have a great game against Southampton or Palace, but I think he's experienced, and he could have maybe helped win the ball back more, and play it more into Chelsea's half. So I think the tactics were all wrong. So I think I won't be too harsh on Rashford, Martial. I'll give them 6s. Bruno
Yeah.
also, I'll give him a 6, because I think they weren't given much chances, and they tried to do what they could. Daniel James, however, I'll give a 3.5. I think he was not present.
He seemed like just a headless chicken, just trying to run around.
Yeah.
He maybe apart from 2 chances he got that really didn't amount to anything. The first one was like on the right against Rudiger. Rudiger he won the foul, but really nothing came out of it. I think Maguire just headed straight to Caballero. And then on the left, he just got a chance, but it just kind of broke down because no one was there. So yeah, he didn't have opportunities, but he didn't make opportunities for himself either. So yeah, I'd say 4 actually. But
Yeah.
now, we actually predicted a pretty high-scoring game. We weren't wrong, but we were pretty wrong at the same time. I said 3-2 Chelsea. We were both right about the 3. Just we were-
I said 3-1 United, but it ended up being 3-1 Chelsea.
yeah, honestly, if I had known they were playing 5 at the back, which I didn't because I didn't watch United before, I probably wouldn't have said 3-2 like as much. I was close, but not close.
I mean, I don't think anyone saw United playing 5 at the back. It just seemed very odd. I thought they
Yeah.
would play a 4-2-3-1 with the Williams instead of Shaw, but it was way too much change. It was like the Norwich game, right? They made like 8 changes in that
8
Norwich
changes.
game. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think Ole needs to learn from these 2 experiences.
Yeah. So this is a pretty somber episode, not gonna lie. So
Yeah.
now it's gonna be a Chelsea Arsenal. Who would have thunk? Yeah, City got wrecked, man. They were the same thing with United. The City were actually attacking. They were getting unlucky, but Arsenal defense actually like pulled through. Like David Luiz wasn't a meme for once.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I guess United were a bit lucky to get to this far into the semifinal. But yeah, I mean, United. Their next game is against West Ham on Wednesday,
West
I
Ham.
believe.
It's on Wednesday, 22nd.
Yeah.
That's-
Chelsea is playing Liverpool just 2 hours later.
Yeah,
that
so
same
it's
day.
it's really gonna like that day is gonna dictate so much. So, yeah, so United's playing West Ham, and if they do win, they end up moving up to third place. But then that all depends if Chelsea win their game 2 hours later because Leicester have obviously dropped points 3-0 to Spurs, which is good for United, but it all depends on how they pick themselves up after this game because this was not a good game at all.
Yeah, definitely. Have Chelsea secured Champions League football?
No, if they lose this, if
They're at what?
oh wait
62?
yeah, sorry, they have. I think they have because either if United win this next game, then they'll move up to 65 points. And
Because Chelsea is 4 points ahead of Leicester, right? And Leicester have
2 points.
one game.
No, Leicester are one. No, they actually haven't. Chelsea is 1 point ahead. Chelsea is 63. Leicester is 62. United is 62.
Oh, so if Chelsea lose both and Leicester wins,
At least
but
one.
then
Oh wait, no. But Leicester's last game is against United, so
okay, so Chelsea lose two, and if United beats West Ham and loses to Leicester, Leicester and United each get a win, and Chelsea will go out.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's possible. I don't see Chelsea losing to Wolves because
Yeah, Chelsea.
Wolves are very inconsistent because they beat Everton 3-0 and then they like tied 1-1 to Burnley and like so.
And plus, Lampard
it's-
was saving some of his players because now Pulisic will have like a week-long break till the Liverpool match. I think that was a good play by not bringing him on and then maybe saving Hudson-Odoi and bringing them on Hudson-Odoi and Tammy Abraham last couple of minutes. Maybe he'll put Tammy Abraham on instead of Giroud, but I don't see that happening because Giroud's actually great at
Yeah.
holding up the play. We really saw that today. Like he was a threat. He was holding up the play for Willian and who was on the other side of the wing.
Alonso.
No, who was the front line? It was Willian, Drew, and who was the other one? 1 second. Mason Mount. Oh, Mason Mount.
Oh,
Plays
right.
he was playing as a winger today. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he was holding up the play well. He even got a goal for himself. So yeah, he's people downplay him a lot because he doesn't score as much, but his hold up play is probably one of the best that one of the best in the Premier League, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. I think Mason Mount is my man of the match for today. He pounced on many chances, took some good shots. He was able to build some good plays and obviously got a goal. So I think yeah, Mount was today's man of the match.
Yeah, I go with Drew. Like, where I give him a lot of crap. It's like 2018 World Cup. He's the number 9, but he didn't score. But he's very unselfish the way he plays. His style of play, like playing as a through and through number 9, holding the ball for his other players. He's a very unselfish player, and he obviously backed himself a goal as well, which was a good play. And he did well. He did. You can't deny that Giroud was a presence and pain in the United's neck for today. So yeah, I'd give him. He's be my man of the match. No one deserves to be the man of the match on the United side.
Yeah, by no means. United weren't close to winning. They shouldn't have won by any means. So yeah, I think Chelsea, they deserve the win.
Yeah, Wembley Stadium hasn't been very nice to many clubs, and we've seen it with United especially. So yeah, what's your prediction for the West Ham match, dude?
Obviously Michaela Antonio,
He's on
been in
fire.
great form. I think he has 8 goals in this month
Oh
alone.
my god, he got a goal against Watford,
And
then
4
goals
against Norwich.
against Norwich.
And
They
he
lost to
scored-
Burnley though, but he didn't score against West Newcastle though.
Oh yeah, he had that one game week, but he scored and got an assist against Chelsea.
Right, yeah. So
But I think, yeah, go ahead.
he's on hot form, so he could, especially with how United's defense playing, it could be a high scoring match, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go with 3-0. It's quite optimistic, but I think they only have one focus to focus on Champions League, right? They have 2 games to look forward to, so I think they have to go all out. I think United can grab a win. I think with the door open, because I think also like West Ham are safe because Bournemouth got relegated, I think, by losing to Southampton, and then Watford got their manager sacked today,
Yeah.
Nigel Pearson. So I think West Ham would like to finish the season on a high note, But also, I think United will just be more hungry for that Champions League spot. And I think Ole will give them a bit of stick. And so maybe they perform better.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with another controversial one. Like my loss actually for one against my that was the very first loss predicted that I got right. Obviously for the Chelsea match, I'm gonna say 2-2 draw.
I could see that happening. I mean, United they don't seem confident, I guess, right now. But like maybe it's the games are too close or whatnot, but it's still quite unpredictable. I mean, United could have lost that game against Crystal Palace. They had so many good chances, and that
Yeah.
offside goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's you can't really tell anything now with United. But yeah,
It's hard. Yeah, exactly. It's hard to say what's gonna happen. Like this game is so unpredictable.
yeah,
Okay, so then after that, we've obviously got the Leicester match on the 26th, which is a big match, and then we've got West Ham on the 22nd. So we'll get that out as soon as possible. And so today we've covered the 3-1 loss to Chelsea in the FA Cup semifinals. A very somber day for Code Red and Manchester United, but hopefully they'll be able to bounce back. And thanks. We'll see you around.